Elizabeth City and one of my other colleagues, Livingstone College, were up to be closed 2 years ago because they weren't producing the numbers that everyone was assuming that they should have. So it was easier to close the two HBCUs or possibly merge them. And even though I'm at East Carolina, it kind of hurt my feelings that they were going to try to merge Elizabeth City and East Carolina together. So we're trying to make sure that we're not necessarily saving these institutions by bringing in TPC or having a savior complex for this. We want to make sure that we're allowing HBCUs to still do the things that they do, but rather we can apply different ways. So faculty's pivotal role in diversifying TPC. So as research continues to call for diversity, and we're looking at TPC studies, there appears to be a lack of research on the role of HBCU faculty. HBCU faculty, and I'm speaking from my personal experience here because again, I haven't seen the research here on it. HBCU faculty and PWI faculty varies very differently. The connection with students is very different, and the way in which faculty may approach students can be very different. So even though researchers have mentioned the importance of including HBCU faculty as a means to enact change, it does not appear to take into account TPC faculty specialization. And whether there are existing TPC faculty and to what level background and expertise is at an HBCU. So we could talk all day, yeah, we're gonna do TPC at HBCUs. Okay, so what about the faculty? So are we going to ask the young lady whose specialty is in classical literature to come in and teach TPC classes? Is that what we're trying to do here? So the absence of HBCU faculty with a TPC background, now this is regardless of race, may directly affect the chances of TPC programs or courses even being developed at HBCUs here. So Gerald Savage, who has researched TPC and HBCUs, emphasizes that a lack of faculty availability can directly alter the availability of course offerings, and he also points out that faculty engagement with students both in and out of the class serve as critical factors as well. So how do we move forward in this? For myself, I wanted to develop a survey that would actually ask instructors, okay, what is your specialization? Are you familiar with TPC? How do we move forward in trying to get a TPC program at HBCUs? So in addition, HBCUs would also need to review available resources before hiring more specialized faculty. Today, there are currently 101 HBCUs in 21 states and territories. They are geographically centrally located in the southern, southeastern region out there in Georgia and everywhere else. Up under that Mason-Dixie line, that's where you can find us. We all down there somewhere. So my survey seeks to inventory and chronicle current North Carolina HBCU faculty members with TPC training and expertise, and to gauge their faith, which I think is very crucial to this conversation, and interest in their home institution to adequately develop TPC programs with their current resources. And the reason why I found it to be so critical, because not many HBCUs are research institutions. Not many HBCUs have the space or the agency to really be able to take the time and to develop these type of research that would need to be done within TPC or have our social justice approach that we have. So faculty survey development, I pulled 4 key questions that I really wanted to show you guys and to kind of chat about that I thought were very important. So the survey consists of 12 questions. We're still waiting IRB approval. Once we have that, then I would love to send you guys my results. I'll make sure I do that. But, so we're waiting IRB approval on that. So one of the main things was, how long have you been employed at your current institution? Research has noted that HBCUs have higher turnover rates in regards to teaching faculty due to their operating positions. So they're typically adjuncts, assistant professors, thus making it crucial to clarify if a technical staff member has been present at the institution to see past change. So we're asking people who may only have been there for 2 years, who really may not know if this change is even possible, or if they're possibly just stopping by to try to get their feet wet in the field and then continuing to go on to their career. So do you feel your current institution provides you adequate teaching resources to implement, execute the program you are currently enacting in? So again, we can question how do we bring in a program, a TPC program, if there's still a concern about the current programs? How do we decide we want to enact this type of change if the current English program is still falling apart? You know, it's kind of like building a house on plywood. It's not going to work, it's going to fall apart. In addition to, what is your specialization? So again, we want to make sure we zone in with educators and ask them what exactly is their specialization. I do remember in one of the articles that I read, I think it was Lisa's as well, that spoke about that TPC specialized faculty is not always the people who make those calls on if this program is going to be enacted or not. It's some higher guide people, and the people who are above everybody. Those are the people who may really know what's going on. However, at the HBCU space, you oftentimes see that there may not be a department chair, someone who's there on that level, but more so you go from the actual classes, the curriculum, straight to the dean. There's no middle liaison there. At Elizabeth City, they currently do not have a department chair for their English department, which has made it pretty difficult to kind of get in touch with people on how to make things happen. Also, are you familiar with the field of technical communications as a field of academic study? So again, we want to make sure that faculty would actually have an understanding of TPC before we try to bring something to them. If they don't understand it and they do not understand how it can be beneficial, especially in the social justice lens of what's going on today, then how do we try to implement these programs? A quick story I tell you guys, when I was doing my master's program, everyone tried to tell me to change my name. Temptations, change name. So when I would apply for jobs, I would put Sean on my resumes instead of Temptations. One job in particular, I had placed Temptaous Mckoy and Sean McCoy and sent the resumes back to back. Sean McCoy received the phone call back. Temptaous McCoy received the rejection. And the only reason the young lady found out, and she told me, I can't move forward with you because you lied, but the only reason she found out was because she called me and got my voicemail which said Temptaous McCoy. So for me, that opened my eyes that TPC can also be a space to also help break barriers and stop with the walls that we're forming. Because a lot of people don't realize how CVs and all of these types of technical documents also serve as gatekeepers. So I think it would be very important for these types of things to be implemented at HBCUs where you're already being taught how to surpass all of these other gatekeepers that you may face. So also conclusions and my implications here. So in answering these questions and gathering responses, I hope to better understand the current state or lack of TPC resources, expertise, and offerings, as well as how we may begin to implement TPC programs at HBCUs. So they may or may not have specialized faculty. However, there may be a chance that we have faculty who has experience, real life experience, that we may be able to go in and do some work with. So I hope that this research will help me and others continue the HBCU's legacies of quality and inclusive education for African Americans and others. Some people have the misconception that HBCUs are only for Black people. Everyone goes to HBCUs, so everybody can go on in there and learn something. So by including TPC studies in the development and growth of existing HBCU programs, English Department Communication Studies programs, engineering programs, we continue to foster that growth. And as I collect and analyze survey data, I will synthesize and write both dissertation and field publication level, not only on these results, but also on the various histories, contexts, and cultural influences that may shape these respondents' answers in current HBCU approaches. So again, in those responses, we have to also think of Elizabeth City State University being a teacher's college. That's something that will shape the curriculum there. North Carolina A&T, primarily engineering students over there. Norfolk State University, we have a lot of students who do business. If you go and look at Hampton and Howard, we have, Hampton, they have pharmacy programs, so it's a whole lot more science oriented. So all of these things we have to take into account when looking at the responses. And ultimately, one of my own personal key assertions is that we can both continue to build and support African American and minority students who study TPC at PWIs, but that we should and must also make spaces and offerings both that seem currently available or absent in TPC studies at HBCUs. And that these efforts and this research will also serve similar efforts in the Hispanic serving institutions, so HSIs, tribal colleges and universities, TCUs, primarily Alaska Native serving institutions, primarily Native Hawaiian serving institutions, and primarily Asian American and primarily Native American Pacific serving institutions. So we have minority institutions all over. So the legacy and supportive spaces of these HBCUs offer a unique opportunity for us to strengthen diversity in our field. Ooh, y'all got some questions? Okay. Thank you.
We've got like 11 minutes for questions. If there's...
I have a question.
Hey.
So in my master's program, technical communication was very much teaching English majors how to be technical communicators. Now I'm at Clemson University. and technical communication is teaching engineers how to write.
Mm-hmm.
And so as you're doing your research, are you finding that there's a separation, like having that housed in, I guess, so when you're defining technical communication, are you working with to create technical communicators or STEM people who know how to write?
I'm more so looking for technical communicators, and the reason I say that is just because the history of each HBCU varies so much that we would have to ensure that we're doing the technical communicators lens. But actually, if you're looking at like North Carolina A&T, for example, their technical communication program has a social justice approach to it. However, it is an engineering school. So for them, they haven't made those connections or the jump yet to try to tie the program to the engineering students or with something that you're already doing. And I think that's a big thing there, that a lot of this work is already happening. It's just the program by name is not there.